Today we are going to be joined by another racing great, the Belgian-German racing driver, André Lotterer. Very excited to have him joining us in just a couple of minutes. So sit tight, hang on, and we'll get the conversation started as soon as he joins us. In the meantime, you can check out the great artwork that we have behind my head. We have a Porsche 917 actually, in honor of Andre's current team in Formula E. So we'll be asking him about his current career, how he's doing in Formula E, what he's been up to during the last few weeks of global lockdown, and get his thoughts on just about anything else that our fans were curious to ask him. So thanks very much. Is that Andre?
Yes, that's me. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
thanks for coming in loud and clear. Thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure, pleasure. Looking forward.
So I just gave kind of a
Ready
bit
to-
of an introduction to the fans. So I think we'll just get right to the conversation. As you know, we asked our fans on social media to share questions with us, and they did. They responded with a flurry of questions, and they range from everything from what you're doing currently to your experience, your very brief experience in Formula One, and your experience in Formula E. So let's just jump right to it, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Perfect. So let's just start. I've been asking other folks that we've interviewed this question. It's a difficult time, obviously, for the world, and we're all kind of in these lockdown modes. So I wonder if you just let us know where you are and what you're doing during these quarantined days.
yeah, it is a difficult time, but it's a very unique time also for ourselves to take some time and hit the pause button a little bit, which is quite nice for us people who travel a lot and not to see an airport for a month or two feels good. And I'm in my holiday home in south of France, in Provence, so it's nice. I'm doing a lot of DIY still, a lot of things to fix in the house, and yeah, catching up the time with my dog. My mom and my girlfriend's here too, so yeah, trying to stay busy, working out, cooking healthy food. Um, I can go cycle around the house, maximum 1 kilometer. So I do loops around here, and yeah, I have my buggy. My garden is quite big, so sometimes I I get out on my buggy and destroy my garden a little bit and stay busy like that. Yeah. And actually, I took 2 3 days to hang all my posters in my garage that I got from you guys. So it looks good. I'll show you
Awesome.
a picture later.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we'd love a tour. So you're using your buggy to rip up your garden, so no carrots, I take it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, my grass hasn't been put up yet, so I can still do it. And once that's done, I won't be able to drive around the house anymore.
Well, hopefully we're coming out of this new abnormal. So you know, we'll see. Hopefully that ends soon. So let's get to the fan questions, and we had quite a few, as I noted. Talk about the current situation. You started in Formula E in 2017. You started with Tech Cheetah, but this is your first year with Porsche, a newcomer to the series. I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about what this interruption does for the team. The team was looking to kind of figure things out, I think, in the first number of races, and has had to take a different tack. So I wonder if you could just talk about that a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best situation but not for us either because we're a new team and we were looking at learning as much as possible in the first season to start winning in season seven, or at least be more competitive than in our rookie season. But
Mm.
so yeah, this the main thing is we won't be able to learn the circuits that we wanted to go to and know them for next year. But on the other hand, we learned a lot in the first few races as a new team, as you can imagine. So this time is also very precious to work on all that data and make progress that was more meant to be taken care of a bit later on, because now we would be doing races every 2 weekends, so we wouldn't have been able to do so much development in parallel because we would have focused more on preparing the races. So in that case, we have a lot of work to do, and it's happening right now.
Yeah, and so I understand that you're spending a lot of time in the simulator, doing some virtual races as well. The series has started a race from home challenge to benefit UNICEF. Is virtual racing something that you were into before, or has this been a new opportunity for you?
I haven't been in it before. I mean, when iRacing came out years ago, I got an account and I started a little bit, but then I didn't really pursue. And now I have to say that I start to enjoy. It kicked off well with a podium in Monaco, but then the last race in Hong Kong was not so good as I got somehow kicked out with bad internet. And but I was in P9, and no, it's fun. I realized how much I missed racing, and it's fun to see our usual competitors be at the track on the track at the same time, because we practice even during the week. We have an open server all the time, and then we meet up. Sometimes I go on the server after dinner, and there's like 5-6 drivers practicing, and it's quite fun, to be honest. And I think it's very important to keep the community entertained, and to keep also us active, and it's for a good cause with UNICEF as well, obviously. So it's been fun, and it's cool. The next track is actually an imaginary track, so something we won't get to experience in real life. So it's purely virtual.
Interesting. How have you been stacking up with sim pros?
They're better than us, I have to say. We can learn a lot from them because I don't know. I think they're much more used to be methodical about things because they don't have the feedback from the body. So they're much more methodical in precision, and finding little different tricks how to make the lap time. So we have some guys that help us drive faster. So
Cool.
we consider ourselves as pros, so it's a bit it's a bit weird to get beaten like that. Moving around for a better connection.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, you mentioned your dog at the top of the conversation. I want to ask you about your dog real quick. He made an appearance.
He follows me everywhere.
Yeah. Well, he made an appearance in one of your recent virtual races. He can't stay away.
Yeah. We're best friends, so sometimes I have days where he just follows me a whole day, and he wants to play, or he just hangs out next to me, and he came to check up on me exactly at that time, and he's awesome. I love him, and it's good to have him with me all the time.
Also, is he a black lab?
He's a chocolate lab, yeah.
Chocolate lab. Sorry, chocolate lab. What's his name?
Max.
Max. After a racing hero?
Sorry?
After
No.
racing hero? No.
Actually, it's the third dog we have in the family, and it's the third time we call him Max. So he's Max the third.
Cool. Well, it's nice to see Max in the shots. We had a good question from somebody that I want to kind of throw at you. It's a bit of a serious one, I suppose. There's a lot of concerns among fans and probably even some teams right now, just across motorsport, especially expensive series like F1. Like, what does motorsport look like after a return to some semblance of normalcy? What do you think it looks like in the short term, and then farther out?
Well, it's a really good question because no one really knows. I think on the short term, I think everyone will pick up as quickly as possible with their tasks and catch up on everything. I think once the confinement will be released. For me, I think I'll be very busy and back to the Porsche factory with sim sessions and hopefully test sessions. If we let's say if we can travel, it's a bit unclear when we can start, and then hopefully the long term will not be affected too much because obviously financially we don't know where we will stand with all of this, but I think it will have also positives as well. I think that people or teams or realize that we can also work a lot from home efficiently, and we could also maybe save costs like this. And it created all the situations. All the e-gaming is booming, so Porsche is involved in that as well. So it will be interesting, but I think on the short term, ideally we'd get back to normal and go flat out with our programs.
Yeah, yeah. One can envision a while where actual races are happening maybe without fans, broadcast
Yeah,
on.
like so-called ghost races, but
Right.
let's see. But there's nothing. There are talks about that, but there's nothing confirmed, and it would be better than nothing, in my
Mm.
opinion. Obviously, not the ideal, but I think we're all in this situation trying to deal the best we can with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what would that do? I mean, hypothetically, to you as a driver, are fan inputs important as you're driving, or do you kind of tune it out?
No, it is very important, and I think that's why the e-gaming is great to keep connected with the fans and to reach also new fans. I mean, I started a Twitch account, so the gaming community is there, and I think we still have our message to bring across, and which is competing and racing in general. So no, I think that the ghost races for sure would be sad to not see the fans there, but we will for sure compensate in the broadcasting and do more efforts in reaching out to everyone who's not at the race.
Yeah, yeah. Let's turn a couple questions specific to Formula E. If you wouldn't mind just kind of talking us through your transition to Formula E. What was that? What were the motivators behind that? And I suppose experience as well. I mean, what's the experience from going from a petrol fueled car to a battery powered car?
Yeah, it was a very interesting transition, the biggest transition ever, I think, in my whole career, and it actually goes back to a few years before that, when efficiency started to be a big topic in motorsport, because it's always a target for manufacturer to be more efficient and use motorsport as a platform. So when I entered Le Mans for Audi in 2010, 11, and 12, the engine started to become really efficient. And then 2014, we came up with a hybrid technology, or actually before 2012, but 14 was a big breakthrough year because we were able to go faster with a lot less energy per lap, and where we also had to manage energy per lap in a very efficient way with a hybrid system and a limited amount of fuel per lap. So there things started to become very strategical in races and also driving techniques. And so the next step became Formula E, as Audi pulled out of WEC, Porsche as well, and oriented themselves into the Formula E championship, which then made complete sense for me as a driver to join the championship as well. And then I realized how important, even more important, this is. But in terms of driving, for sure, the transition was not easy, because you go from a high downforce four-wheel drive 1,000 horsepower car to almost no downforce groove tire car, but you put that car on a city track, and it becomes even more challenging to drive and more scary to drive.
Mm.
And it's the most difficult thing I've experienced so far. To do the perfect lap with these cars is almost impossible, because it moves a lot, it's unpredictable, and you still need to master it, and the challenge is fun, and also the whole preparation. Everything is on one day, so you have no room for error. You have to arrive well prepared, do a lot of sim, and you need to think a lot in these races. You need to do strategy, defending, attacking. It's a lot more complex than what you think it can be.
Yeah, I think I've read that you called Formula E, mentally exhausting. The race actually mentally exhausting, whereas an endurance racing is more physically exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. It is mentally exhausting because you have to completely multitask. You basically at each corner you have to lift at the perfect point, coast during the perfect amount of time, recuperate energy before you brake, and this the whole time, and make sure you do it like so perfect, because any little fluctuation will affect your performance throughout the lap and then the race. And then at the same time, you have to outsmart the others. And or qualifying, for example, you go into it with 20-30% more horsepower, and you've only used this in free practice only once. So it's very stressful. You can't do any mistakes. Any little offline or lock up results to be in the wall, and then your whole weekend is over. So it's mentally quite stressful, and physically not so much, because we don't have such high speeds and G forces. But the steering is quite heavy. We don't have power steering. So yeah, it's it's stressful.
What's the top speed in Formula E that you're able to go at?
It depends on tracks, obviously, but it's not so high. I think it's 220. Depends how long the straight is, but it's quick enough to speed to do on the boulevard.
Yeah, city streets, tight corners, close buildings. It's got to be a whole different experience. Got to be pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool locations every time, and it's I really enjoyed this new challenge after having done more or less the same type of racing. Been pretty versatile, but this is a complete new challenge, and going to the cities, bringing the race to the people, and also what I like is that everyone has almost the same performance. We all have the same cars, same tires, same brakes. And we do the difference with trying to have the most efficient engine and inverter, but especially software. You can program everything. I mean, a natural or a combustion engine has its characteristic, but an electric motor, you have to ask him to do everything at any given moment. So you brake, you want it to brake this way with a certain shape, or do you want it's everything is so programmable at any moment, and there's like a million combinations of things to program. So it's a very challenging thing with engineers. I sit countless hours with them and trying to figure out the smartest way to do things.
Interesting. Well, I want to ask you about your endurance racing future. I think anyone who knows your bio knows that you've been, quite successful in endurance racing. 3-time 24-hour Le Mans champion. What's the future look like for you in endurance racing?
Well, at the moment, it's hopefully on hold and not over, because I've let's say dropped endurance racing, kind of been forced to, in a way, because I was racing for Audi, and then Audi stopped endurance racing, and then luckily I landed at Porsche, and then unfortunately they stopped. So I found a seat at Rebellion for the super season, but then Formula E became more and more important and bigger, so I decided to focus fully on Formula E. But let's see, there are new ways that endurance racing is looking at, and there's new hypercar rules and other ways too. So at the moment, there's nothing fixed or let's say official that I can say that I'll go back to endurance. It's a complete question mark, but I definitely would love to go back to Le Mans. It's a fantastic race. It's my favorite race, and I've unfinished business there with Porsche. I was leading the race 2017, and unfortunately we had to retire. And it's one of my dreams to win there with Porsche. So who knows? Maybe one day we'll go back. But so at the moment, I have to win in Formula E first, and it's a big challenge. But we need to have dreams, and it's still one of my dreams to win there with Porsche.
Did the decision of your teammate at Porsche, Neil Johnny, your current teammate in Formula E, influence at all your decision to really focus on Formula E at the moment?
Not really. I mean, we spoke about it openly together, and we quickly came to the point that it's the smartest thing to do because Formula E just requires full attention. And also a unique driving style. You don't want too much driving styles to interfere. It's not that you cannot brake the same way as in a prototype where you just put all the force in the foot and the pedal that you can have. In the Formula E, you would lock up all the wheels with doing that. So and also time-wise, with the schedule, it's just not possible to do both.
Yeah. Great. Well, we're going to go back in history now. A lot of the questions that we had from fans kind of, focused on your past, some of your memories. So we'll go way back. I think you started racing when you were 7, if I read that right. Who was your main influence back in the early days that influenced your racing career?
Yeah, exactly. I started racing when I was 7, but actually I grew up on the racetrack since I was in my mom's belly because my dad was in motorsports and he was a team manager and engine specialist. So he had the freedom to bring my mom and me to the racetrack, and I was hanging out in the pits all the time and at the workshop also. So the first thing I remember that I wanted to be as a man was a race car driver. I looked around and I saw these guys with their race suits and driving those cars, and I was like, this is what I want to be. This is the coolest job out there. And luckily my dad took me to a go-kart track when I was 7. I grew up in Belgium, so that was in Mariembourg. And the go-kart was too slow. And he saw that there was a go-kart shop, and we went a week later, and I remember exactly still now, standing in front of this go-kart, and my dad asked me if I really wanted to do this. And I said, yes. But then he said, if we do this, we do it serious. We do it from here to Formula One because it costs money, it's serious, and you're not going to get bored of this and then play tennis and play soccer and change your mind. So you have to tell me now, you commit or we don't. I said, yes. Of course, when I was 7, I didn't know exactly. But anyway, I never forget that. And he gave me a high benchmark, and it always made me, it helped me a lot because I knew it was important for my life. And I wasn't the greatest student, so I didn't have much parachute either. We didn't come from a rich family, so I always treated it as it was everything I had in life, and that definitely gave me the drive to succeed.
Yeah, when I read about you and your bio, you kind of strike me as like, a racing renaissance man, somebody who's kind of done it all and experienced many different forms of racing on different continents. And I wonder if you feel like there's a gap, if F1 is a gap in that CV. I mean, like I said, you've experienced it all. F1 is kind of a hole. Do you feel the same?
Not really. To be honest, I'm super happy with my career and also my life in general. I mean, it's no point going to Formula One and not be happy. And I think I'm pretty happy about how everything went because I managed to do what I love to do with great cars, great life experiences. Racing in Japan was awesome. Racing at Le Mans was even better. And I think the mixture I got was great. And luckily I had a shot to do a Formula One race and to be a F1 racer for a weekend. And of course, it's what we all target when we're kids and moving up in go-karts to go Formula One. But, at the end, the essence is to drive fast cars and luckily and hopefully to make a living from it because it's that's the ultimate and be racing for manufacturers and have great experiences, and this is what I've been able to do, and I've been able to drive different categories, and I would I would do it all over again. You know, I don't feel like I missed out on something in F1 or anything. I'm super happy where I'm now. I think my career is still going strong, and some guys did F1 and they're not doing anything right now. So I'm pretty happy where I'm at.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a nice way to put it. We had a ton of questions on what you would be if you weren't a race car driver, and that might be an impossible question because you've been thinking about it since you were in your mom's tummy. You said.
Yeah, well, you can guess it would be around cars, and I think I am not too bad at drawing cars, or was, and I was always drawing cars instead of listening to the teacher, and drawing cars in my free time. So I probably would have taken a class or targeted to be an industrial designer or a car stylist, let's say. So it goes well with Automobilist. Maybe after driving, I can do some graphics for you.
We'll clear a desk for you. We'll put your name on it.
Yeah, no, I love the aesthetics of cars, and I love beautiful things, and love create. So that's why also I like photography, take pictures of nice cars. But yeah, that's probably what I would try to target to study that.
And what about somebody asked this question? I think it's a good one. What's the craziest thing on your bucket list? Something that you haven't done, but you have a future plan potentially to do.
Well, there are a lot of things, but one thing it actually started today. I gave my van, I have a Volkswagen T3 Synchro, and I gave it to restore, and I want to transform it into a camper, an off-road camper, as a four-wheel drive one, and I think it's going to take probably a bit of time to finish and get all the right parts and get all the correct stuff for it to go in the middle of nowhere, and this is not something I will be able to do now, but once I have more time after my career, I guess, just go on a 1 year trip maybe with my camper. I don't know. I say 1 year, maybe more, maybe less, and yeah, just go around the world or send it to some continent and go visit, and don't have any schedule, don't look at my watch, and just go. If I like a place, stop there, camp with my girlfriend, and take pictures, put some maybe mountain bikes on it, and then just enjoy freedom, enjoy the planet.
That sounds amazing. Can we come?
Yeah, why not? You need your van though.
Well, it might be a smart move actually, because once all this is said and done, it might be harder to fly. So having a van that can get you from point A to point B might actually be necessary.
Yeah, be autonomous.
Well, Andre, I'm going to ask the last question, kind of a self-serving one, but I'm going to pose it in such a way to see if you might actually be to do a show and tell. So you've been an ambassador for us for quite a while, and you're familiar with our work. You mentioned before that you were hanging some stuff. I wonder if you could potentially show us the stuff you're hanging.
Yeah, there's some work is in the house, but I'll walk to my garage and let's see.
Yeah, we strategically placed a Porsche behind my left shoulder so that hopefully you would see it and be inspired. And
you see, you still have connection with me?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. Oh, there they are. Fantastic. Oh, you got some fantastic ones. Amazing.
Yeah. I still have more stuff to hang, so yeah. But it's in good company, you see.
Wonderful. Yeah, and you've actually got some live memorabilia in front of it as well.
Yeah, some of my old cars, and these are actually also cool graphics that we got each year before we started Le Mans. The graphic designer from Audi gave us every year a drawing of that, and here I have my toolbox. Sorry, it's not everything cleaned up, but Snap-on made me a toolbox with my car on it, so that's pretty cool. It's worth gold to me. Perfect
Awesome.
here.
Awesome.
And yeah, there's some more graphics. And here's the sim.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got a new steering wheel today.
is that sim where you're doing your races from?
Yeah, I have two actually. I have this and this. So this has a moving platform, so it gives a bit more feedback. And this one is the family play seat. So yeah,
Totally cool. That's amazing.
some helmets and yeah.
Well,
Uh,
we are quite honored to have a place in such an important part of your house.
and this is my buggy.
Oh man, that looks fun. I feel bad for your
Yeah,
garden now.
turbo. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
think the next time we do this, I'm going to talk to the bosses, and we'll have to do it in person. Looks like
Yeah.
looks like a fun place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. We gotta entertain ourselves.
Awesome. Well, listen, we've taken up now 32 minutes of your time, and we promised 30. So thanks for
No
the extra two
problem.
minutes. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
pleasure.
and just to thank all the fans who tuned in, and if you're just tuning in now, you can check out some of the excerpts from the conversation at automobilist.com, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks so much, and stay safe, everybody.
Ciao. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.